Welcome, Radiant Souls, to the Ouroboros Outlook for May 2023. I'm Arania Susan from Being Human and Sacred Relationships. In last month's reading, we saw that the month of April was going to be a month of completion, the end of a soul pathway, drawing to a close, finalizing. We had thoughts that were coming through their later stages and many physical projects that were coming to a close as well. So May is a different kind of energy. It actually looks like it's going to be quite full on with some rather interesting possibilities and events that we will need to navigate. So today I'm going to start with the animal totem, because I think that this totem actually represents the overview of the whole month, and it will help to put the rest of the Ouroboros outlook into perspective. So the totem that's come up for May is the Wasp. That's a very interesting card to be drawn. I've actually had quite a few experiences with wasps just over the last few days and wondered why. And then when I drew the cards for the upcoming month of May, it was no surprise to me that there was the wasp. So the wasp can be stingy. It can be considered unwanted or a pest. It can invade or take over or infiltrate places that we do not want it to be. It can be a bit threatening at times. But I'm looking at the aspect of the wasp that has that pointed sting. So we're looking at the month of May having the potential to be a bit more pointed, to the point, stingy, which means some of the things that happen might prickle you, might kind of get under your skin in a way that you feel unsettled or you're not happy about. When that wasp comes along and makes you feel that way, just realize that for us to be able to move forward and to progress beyond our current comfort zone, sometimes we need to be poked or prickled into action. Some of those stings might be words. You may be using stinging words. You may have stinging words being used to you. You may feel that you're a bit pokey with other people, or they're doing that to you. Whenever we are going through a new learning cycle, we learn in three different ways. The first way is from an observer's perspective. So we see this happening around us with people close to us in the wider spectrum and even on the global stage. We will be observing those stingy words or stingy actions that are propelling a new action forward. Then the second way that we learn is we become the receiver or the reciprocant. So those stinging actions, stinging words, whatever it is, are directed towards us. And then finally, in the third stage of learning, we initiate. Now, often we initiate this on ourselves. So if you've got a few stingy thoughts about how you're doing in life at the moment, or just something that's a bit sharp, a bit pointed, maybe more so than usual, just that voice that's on your shoulder is coming with some quite cutting remarks to you. Just know that this is the wasp in action. It's bringing you to a point of realization where you can see what has been, where you want it to go, and it's creating a sense of dissatisfaction with where things currently are because you want to make a change. So we often become sharp, edgy, cutting, pokey, stingy to ourselves or to people around us when we're on edge, when we're frustrated and not happy with how things are going. So if you see that wasp energy coming in, have a look at what you have been doing to make you feel or behave in a waspish way. Wasp also has the positive aspect of themselves. They enjoy fruits. They're quite planetary with being part of wood. They like to make their homes on wood or around wood and underground. So there could be an aspect of you that's wanting to bring those sharp thoughts to ground, to earth, or wanting to bury them rather than allow them to come out. If that's the case for you, have a look at what it is you're trying to bury, what kind of waspish or stingy thoughts, actions, unspoken words that you are trying to bury. It's always good whenever something happens to have a look at the reason why. When you can identify, why did I respond in that way? Why do I think this? Why have I changed my mindset from here to here? And then think about, do I remember another time in my life when this was a similar situation? It will give you an idea as to what you've got going on under the surface. At the moment with the eclipses and with massive energetic change, a greater degree of light coming into the galactic universal planetary system, we are going through massive acceleration, and we can never get to an accelerated consciousness or a higher level of perception without releasing the old. And it could well be that Wasp is turning up this month to help us identify what no longer serves us, what makes us feel snappy, sharp, pointed, or prickly, so that we can process that. We can identify what's holding us back in our own personal development so that we can raise our own consciousness. As we each individually lift our awareness and our consciousness, the whole universal system as a whole benefits. The more of us that are able to lift into those concepts of being in the light, being in love, standing strong in our own true selves, the more of us that can do that and are not swayed by the distractions that are happening around us, the more the energy level of the planet Earth, at least, is going to rise to match us. So there we go. That's how Wasp could be playing out. Yes, Wasp has positive aspects, but if we're looking at our own shadow work and how we're processing our past so that post-eclipse we can move through that into a higher consciousness, Wasp could be playing a strong part in that. So usually for the Ouroboros Outlook, I will draw 5 regular playing cards, but again this month, a 6th one threw itself out of the pack and wanted to be part of today's reading. So this is the 6 of clubs. Now, if you remember last month, pretty much every card that came out was a black suited card. So we had clubs for thinking and we had spades for physical doing. So it was a very strong month in basically knuckling down and getting through the processes. So with the 6 of Clubs coming in this month, we have a new thought process, a new way of thinking. Now, this could be thinking about ourselves. It could be how we put our thoughts together. It could be how we think about the world, anything. Or you have the innovation of new thoughts coming to you that you will be able to act on during the month of May. So at 6, this is essentially the birth of these thoughts. You've been through the process of having a think, setting it up, and now you're ready to bring that new thought or new way of thinking into being. This is very interesting that it follows on from the 9 of Diamonds from the April reading, because that was the end of a soul journey. So we had completed a cycle of our soul development. So it could be that our new soul development is bringing in new ways of thinking about ourselves, our place in the world, our unique mission, whatever it is that is relevant to you. So the 6 of Spades, the 6 of Clubs is an overarching card for everything else that's in the Ouroboros outlook this time round. And let's have a look at the first card for May. This is the 7 of Clubs. Ties in very nicely with that 6, that new way of thinking. So previously we had the 7 of Clubs turning up last month along with the 8. So we do have new thoughts in action. But I perceive that the 6 is showing us a refinement on this. We came in with a focused month of thinking and doing in April. But we're back to the thinking again. Only this time, we're rethinking what we had come up with previously. And it might just be a shift of a degree or two. We can start with a concept here and just move it ever so slightly and manifest it into something else that is more in alignment with our soul development. So that's what we've got going on with the 7 of Clubs. Next, we have the 4 of Diamonds. This is showing us the bigger picture of our next stage of soul development. So when we're in the phase of the 4, the 5, up to the 6, we're looking essentially at the gestation of that soul development. When babies are growing in the womb, they're conceived at 3, born, birthed at 6. So the 4 and the 5 are the processes of that gestation. The 4 represents the bigger picture ideas. So we have this. It is not yet at the stage of birthing, but it's way in the back of our minds, and we are developing that new soul journey, getting ready to launch into where our soul will take us next. So it's well into preparation. You may not be seeing this because it's all happening behind the scenes, or you may be aware that you've got a tendency or a desire to head in a certain direction, but you've got no idea where that idea came from. And the soul works very quickly. It comes in with pop-ups. It will introduce something to you in a way that you were not expecting. It comes out of the blue. You may suddenly have a thought as you're driving down the road. You're sitting in the bath or lazing at the beach or whatever, and you just have something pop into your head. And you think, oh, that's interesting. Now, it could be that that is connected to a new direction for your soul pathway. The soul goes round in cycles, so that where you start on the bottom, when you come round to that point at the next level, you're going to enhance or journey further or deeper around whatever that conceptual aspect of the soul has been. So The 4 is establishing the bigger picture of your soul development, not quite out in the open yet. You may be aware of what this is, or it may still just be sitting there waiting to surprise you further down the track. The Jack of Spades. In April, we had a lot of completion with physical tasks, whether that was to do with our occupation, career, our job, a hobby, or just a task of some kind that we've been working on. So when it comes to the Jack, this is where we are mentally processing and evaluating, well, how did that go? What would I do differently next time? It's like we're giving ourselves a little report card. We are assessing how this went. And if we ever did this kind of thing in the future, what changes would we want to make, if any? So that's why the Jack is here. If you have changed your job, or you're looking at changing your job because we had the completion of those physical tasks in April, you may have sold your house. You may have got a new job. You may have finished the project that you were working on, the book that you were writing, whatever it is. This is time before you launch into the next big phase to have an assessment, sit back and just review. Think about, how did that go for me? How did that job go? How will I do it differently in the next one? Was I happy with the formatting of the book that I put together, or the content, or the length? Would I want to do it differently next time? So this is what the Jack of Spades is representing, coupled with the 6 of Clubs. So this is bringing in that new way of thinking. So the old task that you had completed was done in a previous thought pattern or way of thinking. And now that you've moved into the new way of thinking, you're going to review those tasks that you have completed in a slightly different way to see if you want to do something differently. So the 6 of Hearts has also turned up. Again, 6 relates to the birthing of something. And the hearts are always connected with relationship, belonging, connection. So how do I feel about my connection with? How do I feel about my relationship with? We're looking at the opportunity to bring a new way of relating into your perspective. This could be a relationship. This could be a new baby's being born, or a new partner has come into your life. This could be the rebirth of yourself on your soul journey, on your spiritual pathway, moving into a soul pathway, which brings in even more illumination. So whatever that heart connection is, it may be that you're doing something you really love. Perhaps the job that you completed here and you're evaluating has given you the opportunity, with the soul pathway sitting in the back seats at the moment, may have brought you to a point of making a heart connection with yourself, or with what you're choosing to do with your life. So hearts, yes, they can represent a romantic or intimate connection with somebody, but they can also represent your heart connection to yourself, to your children, to your pets. It may be a new doorway opening to connect with members of the family or friends that some of those relationships have become a little cool. It could be a new way of being able to think about and be in relationship with other people. Maybe you've moved into a new home and this is a heart connection for you with your environment. So however that plays out, the new thought patterns or the new ideas that you have are connecting with your heart relationship with something that is important to you. Right, so the 9 of Clubs is the final card in the Ouroboros Outlook for May. Interesting that we've got the 9 of Clubs here because this brings an old thought pattern to completion. We've got the new thought pattern coming in and the start of a way of thinking, but we've got the old going out and the new coming in. As one door closes, another opens. And this is what we're seeing here. The way we used to think about something, or the thoughts or ideas we had at one point, have gone to a point of completion as the soul journey that closed in April has brought those thoughts with it and has now given us a new lease of thinking and a new way of being as we move into May. There's a lot of change in here. A lot of change. We've got new thoughts. We've got new thoughts moving into something that's a little bit started, but not really down the track yet. We've got a new soul concept sitting in the back seats, not fully emerged, but it will definitely be influencing what's going on. We've got the wrap up of the physical and giving ourselves time to evaluate how did that work for me. But then we've got the new heart connection has come in. So a lot of change. There've been a lot of endings over the last couple of months and a lot of new beginnings just starting. So with this old belief, this could be a belief system. It could be a thought process, a way of thinking about yourself. This could all be moving out, ready to bring in the new with the new way of thinking about yourself, about what you're doing, about your mission, about your role in the world. Because we've got this heart connection with ourselves as well. So that's where we're at coming into the month of May. The only thing to watch out for is as you process this change, the Wasp says, sometimes life stings. Are these endings going to be smooth and easy? Maybe not. Maybe the sting is as you move one thought, idea, whatever it is that you're moving out of, and you're moving into something new. There could be a sting in the tail. So if there is, just be aware of that. Have a look at what's happening to you. How do you feel about it? And what's behind it? Why do I feel this way? Where have I seen this before in myself? Have I experienced this previously? And if those words are sharp or pointed at someone else, ask yourself, why am I doing this? What is my expectation of them? Am I expecting them to fulfill something that I need to be fulfilling inside of me? Because as soon as we start externalizing a problem, we know we've moved away from our soul center. When we're working with soul, we realize that everything in our lives comes from within. We create our environment. We create our lives. Yes, definitely some very uncomfortable, traumatic things can happen. But if we are looking at why or what did I learn from this, it can help us with this new way of thinking about ourselves, our place in the world, and our soul pathway. Can help us to rise above some of what we've experienced. So I hope that gives you some insight into the wasp and how it might play out in May. And just be aware that that is behind the scenes. And have a look if something's upsetting you or you're feeling stung or prickled. Find out why. So have a wonderful May. And I'll be back again in June with the Ouroboros Outlook. I'll see you then. Bye.